Hello folks and welcome. So today's video is going to be about personal backups. I'm going to be showing you utility and toward the end also script files using backups. Is this everybody's cup of tea? Well, maybe not, but certainly any user can follow along. So I'm going to talk about the most common thing that a lot of the backup programs use. And I'll be installing a small application. And then I'm going to also show you, if you don't want to install that, you can just run yourself with script files. And I'll explain everything completely from scratch. Manjaro Linux, so let's get this preliminary stuff out of the way, which is an Arch-based distribution. I'm using the Xfce desktop 4.18.1, and it uses a 6.5 series kernel. Now I'm filming in 1920 by 1080, so you can adjust your YouTube player accordingly if necessary. Since a lot of them default to 460, that's a lot less screen res that I'm filming in. Alt and F4. Alt and F4 closes Windows. I would also encourage that you subscribe, that way you can watch this video and others at your leisure, at your time frame. I do have over 220 videos on my YouTube site on all kinds of tips and tricks. So welcome folks. I'll open up my file manager first. So I'm going to be making copies over to here. It's currently blank. It's just a USB hard drive. You can also think about that as an internal hard drive too, but USB thumb drives or sticks and USB hard drives are the most common ways to transport files from, let's say, Manjaro, which is Linux-based, over to a Microsoft system or even a Mac. All right, but you can also think about it just making basic backups. So, two things that I'm going to talk about. So, how is this formatted? Well, if I formatted that with extension 4, for instance, I wouldn't be able to view it on the Microsoft machine. It doesn't like extension 4. So what's a common format? FAT32 will work with that Linux and Macs and Microsoft. So that's what I formatted that with. I also used all uppercase letters, no spaces, as you noticed. It's called USB back 1. If you have multiple devices, maybe call them USB back 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever you want to call them. So I'm going to show this completely from scratch. I'm going to show you how to install this thing and how to work it, and also how to delete files from your destination machine. So the little tool I'm talking about is called Grsync. Grsync can be found two ways. You can open up your point and click, and you can go do a search and install that. Grsync is Rsync. What else uses Rsync in here? That's in here by. So I'm going to type in backups. And I come up with only one utility called Timeshift. Timeshift is a system restore utility. Under default conditions does not copy your personal files. However, under default conditions it uses Rsync, remote sync. Okay. So there's a lot of utilities out there like Lucky Backup and others that use Rsync. So Rsync is found in a lot of Linux distros or distributions. So let me open up terminal here and just type in MAN Rsync. And I will make this larger for you. So hopefully you can read that. So Rsync is a fast, versatile, remote, and local file copying tool with lots of options. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Control-C and actually a Q on this one. And then I'm going to just type in my history buffer. This is for the folks that want to install Grsync from terminal. So this is the command for that. I also installed Kate. Kate is a text editor. And the reason I installed it is because I can make things large while I'm filming when I'm using text boxes. So I'm going to open up the Grsync tool. So Grsync is graphical Rsync. And by the default standards, this may look busy, but if you just keep the defaults, you can do basic backups. If you are wanting to have the files on the destination device deleted also, then I'll talk about some options. But I'm going to show you both today. So the stuff up here I call fluff. You can add source and destination. There's just two things, and you can call them whatever you want. So give it a name and save those kind of things. I don't really use that at all. As a matter of fact, I use more script files than I do this. But I'm going to show you this anyways. So I'm going to be making a copy of something over to here. And that something is going to be what? My home folder? Actually not. And I'll tell you why that I would probably not recommend copying your complete home folder unless you're a developer. The reason for that is because you probably don't need these extra files. Which extra files are those? Control H. Very common with all modern Linux file managers. I'm going to resize these icons on the fly. You can see there's a lot of objects in here, a lot of files, a lot of folders, a lot of directories. Starts with starts with a dot and then some name, and then even the files. Born Again Shell History is right here, but starts with a dash. Dot, not dash, dot. You don't really need those. If you're collecting a lot of files from your web browsers and stuff, they're probably contained in here too. So this folder could be enormous. Control H. What most people are interested in is possibly their documents, music, and pictures, for instance, or whatever other personal folders. And that's what I'm going to concentrate on today. So I'm going to first just do a copy of this. All right, some text files, a PDF, and 2 folders. There's actually stuff in here. All right, but more importantly, I'll talk about scripts last. And you can use scripts instead of Grsync, for instance. So we're going to open up a source, which is documents in this case, and that puts in the path. And then I'll put it destination. Well, I have this nice USB back 1 formatted with FAT32 that I'm going to use. So I'm going to click that so you can see it happening. I'm going to leave the defaults on this pass. Okay, so however long this takes. Rsync is Rsync. I've been asked the question, is Rsync any slower on a time shift versus GR? No. Is Rsync any slower with script files versus Grsync? No. Rsync is Rsync. The speed is all dependent on your computer and the device you're connecting to. So if the device is USB 2, then it's going to run at USB 2 speeds or 3. Same thing with internal hard drives. They're usually faster. All right, with that said, what happens when I hit the play button again? Nothing. It just verifies that this is an exact match of what my folder is under default conditions. Now, when I say exact match, sometimes what happens is after you make your backups, you delete stuff. I'll talk about that step next. But I am going to open up one of these text files. I don't know what's in B. It just says test1. Now I'm using Kate for this. And why am I using Kate? So I can do stuff like this. That's the only reason. You can use any text editor for text files. And I'll talk about that when I talk about scripts. So I have test1 written in here, but I'm going to replace that with A, B, C, D. How's that? Click that. Of course, I changed it, so it's going to ask me, do I want to discard, cancel, or save? I'm going to do a save. So B has been altered. So B, on the other hand, on this machine just says test1 on it. Okay, so I'm going to rerun that. And it looks like nothing happened. Actually, B is now changed to A, B, C, D. So if I go back to my originals, and I'm going to add another folder. We'll just call that one test 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to really put anything in it. I'm just creating an object so you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to close and rerun. So I created the folder. Now the reason this is so quick is because it doesn't need to replicate all this. Now, one of the things that a lot of people say, well, I can drag and drop files or copy and paste. You certainly can. How big is your home folder and how big is your document folder? Some of these could be in hundreds of megabytes. Do you think dragging and dropping every single time into a USB device is the way to go? If you think so, then go ahead and continue doing that. But Rsync is faster because once you got this synced up, all you're doing is either removing files or adding files. You're not having to re-replicate everything that's in here. The chances of you changing everything is probably very remote, right? You're just changing individual things or even adding. Okay, that's what this does. It adds files and it also syncs up files that have changed. It doesn't remove files with these parameters. So keep this in mind. So if I wanted this to have this remove my files when I remove them in here. All right, so I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. You have your home folder, you've been working with it, you've been adding and deleting. Well, the deleting part is, are they going to your trash can? Did you dump your trash? If you did, do you have them on your backup drive? Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Did you sync the files up originally? And you had the files that you deleted by accident? Well, they're probably here still. Like the B file, for instance. I don't know what's in there. It's A, B, C, D, whatever. So if you want to preserve the files, you want to keep this option. But what if you want to actually have the files, when you delete something here, also delete it on the backup after your sync? Well, then you want this option on. So right now, what I'm going to do is go to the home folder, Documents. I'm on Delete B on purpose. So it's not Casper. It's gone. It's still currently here, right? However, when I click this option, and then I'm going to click this option, and one more time, if I didn't say so already, I do recommend that you look up Grsync commands online yourself, or Rsync in general. But I'm going to use the allow checksum, always checksum, sorry, and then delete on destination. When I hit the play button now with the same parameters, it's going to dump that file. So B is now gone. It just skipped over and highlighted C. So I'm going to go back in here and open this back up. So these are now a match set, is what I'm getting at. I'll pull that out of the trash can and do a restore. And then I'm going to leave the same options and go back in here. So now that I returned the file, I'm going to rerun this. Now B is back online. So yes, you can actually have that thing remove files also if you leave this option, but think about it before you use it. Why are you using that option? Maybe you are wanting to delete the files on the destination device, or maybe you don't want it to. If you don't want, leave this option off. That is why it's off by default. When you're doing your sync ups, it's adding files and also the ones that have changed when you do the sync up. Keep in mind, it's not re-replicating anything, it's verifying. If the mouse pointer folder didn't change, it doesn't need to replicate. That's what makes it faster than doing a cut and paste, or using two windows and drag and drop. All right, with that said, that's why I use that option there and that option there. So that's Grsync in a nutshell. What if you want to use script files without using or installing Gr? You can certainly do that. So I'm going to wipe the drive and talk about script files now, but I'm going to use two windows for this, Control N. And I'll pull that box down here somewhere just to give a separation. And I'm going to click this over to my home folder and Documents and script files. All right, script files are used by creating that with a text editor, whatever your favorite choice is. I'm currently using Kate. So I'm going to show you a simple one, which is the Doc3, and then this will progressively get more stuff to copy. So this is one item, and I'll open this in a second. And this is 4 items that it's going to be doing this with. So again, these files are created with a text editor, not a word processor, if you have never done script files. All right, so you need the bin bash statement in here. That's pound exclamation point /bin/bash. There's no spaces in there. What is bin bash anyways? Bourne again shell. That's the location of where it's located on most systems. Rsync A, what is that? Well, Rsync, remote sync. The -A is the archive option. The -A is very powerful also. So you see my home folder, man1, that's the name of my user. I substitute the tilde for that. That substitute me typing home man1. You remember when I was in Grsync, it put in the whole path. Well, this is a shortcut. So the tilde /documents, and the last / is sometimes an option, but I put it in here. And that represents my source. I'm copying documents to where? To /run media man1 USB back1 docs. I need at least one space in here. Some folks may put 2. I usually just put 1. But in either case, I want you to see the name of this device right up here. I don't know if you can read that. it says /run media blah blah blah. Well, you can highlight the whole line, right click and copy that also. And then you can, I'm going to just bring this back up, and you can paste it in your text editor. That way you don't have to type the whole thing. And it also, that eliminates a lot of spelling errors too. Now what did I do on the tail end of this though? Let me make this slightly larger. So I put in after the /, you can see there's a / here, I put docs. Because I wanted to take my copy of my documents, put it on that device, and name the folder docs. So let me run this script. I'm going to right click and send it to the desktop. You can always delete these links, so you can just use these scripts whenever you need them. So again, what is this purpose? Well, you can be copying files on that FAT32 drive to transport over to a Microsoft or Mac machine, or just generally making backups. Okay, so right now it's just making a simple backup. And it works the same way. If I add more files or alter files in my main documents folder, then rerunning this will sync that up. It doesn't do any deletions on this one. This one, on the other hand, I'm going to open this one up and let you see that it has a command on the end in blue. So it's the same deal. It's a bin bash statement, rsync documents, going over to doc3. Docs3 is the folder I named, but it has a /delete in there. That does removals also. And this one here is a little bit more complex. So again, you can make this as complex as you want. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to rsync document, music, downloads, and pictures. They're going to be creating folders called doc, music, downloads, and pics. And I'm going to use the --delete on all of them. So let me go back in here and I'll clear the screen. Now, since I'm using a USB hard drive, it has a nice little blue light on mine. And some of your USB sticks also have blue lights on them, yellow lights or whatever color LEDs. And you can see what's happening, in other words. So I'm going to right click and send this to the desktop. Now the cool thing about these shortcuts is you can just get rid of them when you're done playing. Okay, right now it's going to create, I think, 4 folders. And it's going to take however long, right? Rsync is rsync. But this method here is a lot faster than me going over to here and dragging and dropping, dragging and dropping, dragging and dropping. Especially if the folders are, let's say, a gigabyte, for instance. Maybe some of your pictures may be in the gigabyte range. It's very common nowadays with these high-resolution images. All right, now you can see it's finished. So I have my pics, I have my music, I have my downloads, and my docs and subfolders. Okay, got all that stuff on. So since I was using that script with the --delete on it, it also can perform the same actions as I did before using Grsync, graphical rsync. So in this case, I am going to first, we'll pick on C today, delete the C file, and that should be still, sorry, wrong one. The C file is still here. So all I need to do is rerun that. And now C is gone because it's now syncing everything here to that device, byte for byte, or file for file, I should say. So I'm going to pull that one out of the trash again. So it's back online, and I'm going to resync this to let you see it reappear. And there's back online. So it doesn't matter if it is, let's take music for instance. We're going to do a creation this time. If I can spell right. So I created a Hello World folder, and let's go in here to music, and I'm going to run that script again. And I did that rather quickly. Keep in mind what it's doing though. Let me go back to my script folder. So this script here is running 4 things. It's copying documents, music, and downloads in sequential order. And it'll stop whenever it sees a change and then replicate it. If that change happens to be a command that says delete, because it knows what's on the destination device also, it will perform a delete and then move to the next folder and the next. Now, the nice thing about script files is this. You can take one and then make copies of it. In other words, copy it and paste, just like I did here. And then you can alter these statement files to your heart's content. I'm going to show you another scenario and think about it for a second. I'll just leave it alone. So let's say you have another device called USB Back 2, and you want to use the same script to do both of those drives or both of those sticks. Most people probably don't have 2 sticks, but they may have 2 hard drives, either internal or external. I'm going to show you a nice little trick. You can highlight the whole path or just a single line, and you can either do a Control-C or right-click and do the copy. That's also Control-C. And the only reason I'm skipping a couple of lines so you can see the separation. And then I'm going to do a Control-V as in Victor. So I copied everything from here to here. But then I'm going to walk over to here. Since I have that nice USB Back 2 online, just pretend, I changed the parameters. So I don't have to retype every single statement in here. That is a shortcut. So I don't have to do this and spend all day. And then I'll save the file. Would you probably do that with your original? No, I would probably make a copy, then do this, which you can. So now this will copy docs, music, downloads, and pictures over to USB Back 1, also with the delete commands, and also with the doc, music, downloads, and pictures to USB Back 2. I could also eliminate the delete on the second device. So I'll have a different copy possibly. These will be, if I eliminate that, will not have the deletions. I hope that made sense to you. But you can also add in single lines in here. Whether you just highlight the line and copy, just make sure that you alter the objects. So if you decide to, let's say, I'm going to eliminate all that. Now that you understand that, or hopefully you did. If I needed to add an extra line without retyping all this, I would do a copy, click the next line down, and do a paste. Just don't forget to change the actual name of the folders. So pretend I have one called My Stuff, whatever. And then don't forget to change the tail end, because if you decide to copy your pictures to pics, it'll finish. And then if you do My Stuff and it goes back into pics, it'll overwrite these. So you want to change that to maybe My Stuff or pics 2, possibly. With or without the delete command. ~delete. So hit the delete key once and put 1 space in there. And then test, anytime you create script files, test them to make sure it works. Okay, I'm going to not save anything. Do a discard. So a recap of this, I can do a I can also get rid of the links because I don't use them all the time, right? So again, are you making backups or are you just transporting files? It's done the same way. You can certainly do Control-N. You don't have to use 2 boxes. There's many ways of doing this. You can drag and drop, if you're going from your home folder. And I'm going to delete these. So if I were to do a drag and drop, I can certainly do that. Or do copy also and paste, right? But if I do this each time, first of all, yes, I'll know they're in sync, but it has to re-replicate maybe that 3 gigabytes over to here. When you're using Rsync, it doesn't have to replicate every single image. It only copies the images that you changed or added or removed if you're using the delete commands. That's what makes Rsync a lot faster than dragging and dropping. Hopefully that was understood. So on that note, folks, again, hopefully you have subscribed. I have lots of material for you. Thank you for watching.